Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are taking a look at a knife that I am super pumped to be checking out, and that is the Eutsler Dukling? Duckling? Dukling? I don't know. But it's with the ultimate goal of seeing if this is worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this did come by way of Mopatty EDC, so please, for the love of Christmas, go check out her channel. She has an amazing collection with a ton of high-end, rare, exclusive, like, $700+ knives. And if you need just a quick dopamine hit, go check her shorts out, because her YouTube shorts, not a pair of shorts, her YouTube shorts. Check them out because she's got a lot of cool stuff up there. This does go back to Mopatty. I don't get to keep it. And this was designed by Eutsler, and this was made by Eutsler. This is a custom knife. We've had a lot of customs on the channel thanks to Mopatty. And this one hits different. It is everything I thought it would be and then some. The duck and the duckling are both high on my list. I'll say that. Especially with this honeycomb pattern. Look at that. It's not deep etching. It still feels smooth with barely any depth. But aesthetically, it's gorgeous. And it's not going to get gunked up. We have a deep carry milled titanium pocket clip. Execution on this clip is pretty fantastic. Oh, looks like there's a little bit. Let me get that. The pocket clip is fantastic. It is big enough that it doesn't get in the way. Like whenever you're holding the knife, it just lays flat in the palm. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but the clip is executed really, really well. These pivots and pivot collars are something else. It's like this, it's like a gear. We have T10 pivot screws, and then I believe it's T8. Nope, T6s for everything else. We have a 50% backspacer. Looks very nice. I would love it if we could get pivot collars in zirconium and then a backspacer in zirconium. I think that would be fantastic. Now, as far as the ear goes, I know I jumped in a little ahead. This pocket clip right here, if you look, it just melts into the hand, right? It doesn't stick up a whole lot. It's got plenty of body, so it rides up to like the middle of your palm, and it's just comfortable. Yeah, it just feels good. We do have some contouring. All the edges are knocked down nicely. You'd be hard pressed to find a hot spot. I don't think I could find a hot spot if you paid me. We've got really good lock bar access because we're scalloped on both sides. So it's really easy to get in there and just disengage. Let it drop. Talking about the blade, we've got a really, really handsome drop point. We have a little itty bitty bit of poonage right here. I wouldn't call it a harpoon, but there's no jimping, so it's nice to have a little spot to kind of rest your thumb and give you a little more purchase on the knife. Oh, and then backing up, this knife isn't huge, but I get a full 4-finger grip with space left over. And then if I want, I can choke up. Plenty of space back here. I wear a large size glove. We have I get confused sometimes between bead blast and what's the other one? And tumbled versus like a stone wash. Now, this isn't a stone wash, I don't think, but it might be blasted or it might be tumbled. I need to look up the difference. Probably things I should know. but blade finishes is not my strong suit. I know hand satin, belt satin, DLC, regular satin, acid wash, stone wash, but Zerblast, tumbled, bead blast, like those are the ones that I get confused sometimes. So maybe somebody in the comments can educate me a little bit on that. We are rocking Magna Cut. I don't know what the HRC is, but typically with custom makers, you see it somewhere between like 62 and 64. So I can only hope that's the case here. We do have a polished bevel. Looks very nice. We are rocking a full flat grind. And as far as the action goes, it's pretty fantastic. I do wish the drop was a little bit slower because it is a little guillotine. So like I can drop it to my nail and pretty much just knock it home with the tiniest shake. The acoustics are incredible. Listen to this. We have a nice positive snap on the way out and a nice little clink on the way down, which is absolutely fantastic. Very snappy, very satisfying. Lock bar access, like I mentioned earlier, is super easy because you're scalloped out on both sides. And then you've got a little, I don't know what you would call it, but it's not flush. So this is sticking out just a little bit more, making it just that much easier to get in there and disengage. So the pocket clip isn't reversible, but I still consider this lefty friendly because the clip is high enough that you can rest your finger on it. And then, of course, you can disengage it, drop it shut. Oh. Reverse flick it. And you can do it pretty consistently. So if a lefty wanted to, they could get this and still use it pretty reliably and not have to worry about pushing so hard on the lock bar. Now, as far as the overall length goes, we're sitting at about 7.5 inches with a 3-inch blade. Now, it gives us a blade to handle ratio of 66.6, which doesn't seem right to me, but I measured it like 11 times. So I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but the blade to handle ratio looks fantastic. So something I'm doing ain't right. I just don't know what it is. Now, a few size comparisons. We're going to put it up against the Civivi Altus. Pretty close to the same size. We'll put it up against the Real Steel Sylph. Also pretty close to the exact same size. And let's try a new acquisition. And it's going to be the Mini Rosalinda. Review on this one incoming. And pretty close to the same size. We've got one more here that I'm not particularly fond of, and that is the Rockwell, which is coming in a little bit smaller. This is the thumb stud variant, so it's not as big as the flipper variant. Now, oh, and the weight on this guy is 3.2 ounces. Now, how much does this guy cost? Not cheap. I'll tell you that. It is not cheap. This is coming in right at dead even $1,000. I should have told you to sit down first. That is a lot of moolah. $1,000 for a pocket knife when you can get this for about $50, right? So is it worth $1,000? Yes, it absolutely is. This knife is in my top 5 favorite knives of all time. And I say top 5 instead of top 3 because I can't remember all the knives in my top 5. I might have to sit down and really think about it. But it's very well possible this knife is in my top 3 all time. The Duck and the Dukling are definitely 2 knives that are incredibly high on my list to pick up. The detent on this is basically perfect, minus the I wish it was a little more hydraulic shut, which I could tune that in, right? I mean, it's a frame lock. I could tune that to be a little more hydraulic on the drop. I don't know if I just mixed them up, but I want hydraulic more than I want drop shut. Because, like, you can get pretty much any knife to be drop shut. Sorry for the shake. Like, here's this Kubi. Well, actually, this is pretty hydraulic. Never mind. But you can get any knife to be drop shut, right? Hydraulic is a little bit different, though. Hydraulic requires different tolerances, more specific tolerances. But outside of that, I love the look of this knife. I love the pivots. I love the size, the pocket clip, the action. I don't have much critique for this knife. The fact that it's a custom. I do also want the Duck, though, which is the same knife, just a little bit bigger. And if I could get it in dragon scales, it could be a frame lock or an inset liner, I wouldn't care. But this knife is absolutely fantastic. It reminds me a little bit of a Sebenza on bearings, which a Sebenza is really high on my list too. I'll end up getting a Sebenza before I get a Duck, just because of the price difference. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about next to perfection in a knife, the Duck and the Duckling are going to be in that conversation. I know the knife's $1,000, but it punches above its weight class, because I've handled knives that were $1,500, $1,600, and I like this more as an overall knife, not just in 1 or 2 categories. I like this. The fit and finish is incredible. The ergonomics are great. The blade shape is very useful. You're pokey, you're slicey. This knife just goes hard. Like, if somebody asks me, hey, what's the best $1,000 I can spend to get a knife? There's quite a few knives in that range, even a little bit cheaper, like the Machine Wise Mojave, the Sonora. Those are high quality knives you can get under $1,000. I've handled both of them. The Mojave is about $150 cheaper, and I would say on par with the Duck. What sets the Duck aside, or the Duckling aside for me, is the aesthetics. I'm willing to pay an extra $150 because I love the way this knife looks. So I mean, you know, you're $850 to $1,200, and I know that's a big spread, but there's a lot of amazing knives in that spread. It's highly competitive there because, I mean, you're spending $1,000. That's like 2 PlayStation 5s. That's a serious amount of money to spend on a pocket knife, especially when you can spend, like I said, $50 on something that's kind of the same color and about the same length. Now, the difference in quality, fit and finish, and I mean, like, this is steel. And then I think the blade is Nitro V. Yeah, it's Nitro V. So, I mean, there's tremendous differences in quality. This one isn't going to be drop shut or hydraulic. You kind of have to, you know, you kind of have to push it down. And it's tight, you know, like Chavez tight. So, I mean, it's a good knife, but it's not going to last you as long. It's not going to hold an edge. It's not going to be as corrosion resistant. It's not going to be as comfortable. There's no contouring. There's no titanium scales. Like, there's very clear differences in value. And you know, you have to decide for yourself, is $1,000 worth it for a pocket knife? And for the vast majority of you, it's not. And that's okay. I mean, you have to be, you know, a like real hardcore enthusiast, and you have to really like this knife to want to spend $1,000. But I'll tell you what, his drops sell out every single time, almost immediately, in every configuration. Like, this guy doesn't have a loser. I wish he'd make the neutralizer a little more often, but that's okay. Hopefully they come back. But as far as the Duke and the Dukling go, Duck and the Duckling, it doesn't get much better. Genuinely. This is an incredible piece. So tell me down below in the comments, is this something that you would carry? Is this something that would be a collection piece? I'm torn because this knife does scream use me, but I'm not at a point in my collecting where I feel comfortable using $1,000 knives. So I would probably find something that looked similar and then just pretend it was the knife. And then I'd probably keep this as a collection piece. And who knows? Maybe one day I'll get to the point to where I'll do like light carry with it. Well, not that this is mine, this is Mopatty's, but maybe I'll get to the point one day where I'd be willing to do some light carry and cut, you know, open letters, cut paper and stuff like that. To be honest, I'd probably do that stuff right now because that doesn't bother me a whole lot. Like, I don't feel bad, like, cutting through some paper. Screaming edge. But what would it be for you? Collection piece, user, a little bit of both, light carry, you know. Some people carry 2 knives, so they would have like this knife for the lightest of duty, and then they'd have a knife like this for like, you know, anything that would be heavier, cutting through tape, cutting through boxes, and so on. So please go check out Mopatty EDC's channel. If you watch a couple of shorts and see a little bit of her collection, I have no doubt you'll want to stick around and keep watching. She does have an amazing collection. Hers puts mine to shame, and I like to think that I have a pretty good collection. You guys haven't seen my collection yet because I've been fortunate enough to get gifted so many knives for review that I haven't even really had to touch my collection yet. But once I get into it, you guys will see what I'm talking about. There's some pretty exciting stuff in there. But other than that, you guys are all squared away. I will link Eutsler Custom Knives in the description, as well as Mopatty EDC. And then if you want to support the channel financially, I spend a ton of money on the channel, and I do so happily because I love what I do. This isn't full-time for me, though. I do have a regular full-time job. Shipping costs about $240 a month. So if you want to support the channel, I've got my PayPal, Cashapp, and Venmo down in the description. You can look me up, send me, you know, $2 or $3, whatever you want, and it always, always, always is greatly appreciated. But that's all I have for you guys. So until the next time, peace.